Welcome everyone to our new video. Stay tuned because in this one we're going to teach you how to export your dog to Australia and all the tips you need, so stay tuned. So you've decided you're going to make the move to Australia like us, and you're going to want to take your little furry friend, namely your pet dog, obviously a family member, quite important. So you're gonna quite a lot of hoops you've got to jump through to do this. It's not an easy process, it's quite a long process as well, so that's one bit of advice we've got for you is plan ahead. Get yourself a decent pet travel agent. We're using Lady Hay. We highly recommend them, don't we?
Yeah, and you need about at least 8 months of prep. Like, this isn't something that you can pay extra to speed up or anything like that. You really need to give yourself a minimum of 8 months from start to finish, because yeah, we found that the timelines are pretty long, and the changes in the rules and the fact that there's only one quarantine place in the whole of Australia means that there's lots of delays, and yeah.
And guess who? Yes, we are talking about you.
But it's all worth it.
Definitely, as you can see, look. So yeah, we'll talk you through the steps. So here we go. Number 1 is make sure the dog vaccinations are up to date. So I think you've got 2 doses. You've got obviously 1 dose is due first. I think I was an LH4, is it, or something like this. So we're going to talk you through the costs as well as we go. So this is with our local vets. Obviously prices might change. It's just to give you guys a heads up. We'll do a little tally somewhere down here of how much it's going to cost you and how much it's costing us at the moment. So the first vaccination cost was around £50. You then have to wait, is it a couple of weeks, I think, is it?
I think that's because we weren't up to date with our booster, so we had to restart the vaccination all again. Yeah,
so that's your first one. The second dose for us was about just over £30. So then obviously she's up to date for her injections. So next up is a rabies jab, which is very important because Australia are pretty hot on that. So the rabies jab is very important. The cost for ours was £66. So you can see it starts to add up quite quickly. So that's vaccination. So then after that, so you got to have a blood test 30 days from the vaccination, and that's got to be sent off to a special lab. And this one is a bit pricey just for a blood test, and that came to £203 just for a bit of blood in a bottle off to a lab to say, yep, she's got the vaccination.
But you get a certificate, and that's what you're paying for, is the proof that she's got rabies in her system. And yeah, that she had no adverse effects from the vaccination. She wasn't foaming at the mouth or anything, so all good.
Yeah. So yeah, the part of that is after she's had the blood test, she can then travel no less than 180 days and no more than 365 days after they've had the blood sample. So there you go, that's your second stage. Then you need the kennel cough, make sure that's up to date. That must be given within the last 12 months. So no more than 12 months and no less than 14 days prior to departure. So our kennel cough was £43.50. Obviously prices may change depending on your vet, but this is just a little rough guide to let you know how much it's going to cost you. Obviously during that time we had her spayed as well, just to make it a bit easier. One for over in Australia, I think it's cheaper to register with the council, it works out cheaper, and obviously it's a bit easier. She's not having puppies, well, definitely not having puppies now, but it's just easier for her, like her seasons.
Yeah, just easier to manage. And she had to have 1 less vaccination to be imported if she was desexed. So We were gonna have her done anyway, we thought, and this just kind of speeded up our decision to do it. So yeah, a little bit of recovery time for her. It's quite an invasive operation, but she's all good now. She's healed, and yeah, not having to worry about when she's going to come into season is really good.
It's just easier. So yeah, so that's another additional cost. You know, obviously it's up to you. But that one cost us £280. So we're racking up the bills at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of the big outlays we've had to do so far. Next up, we've got to be on top of your frontline tick and flea treatment, and it's got to be an external treatment, not pills, as Australia is not permitted. So that's got to be done at least 30 days prior to departure as well. So just keep on top of that. Again, that's going to be another cost of applying that. The next trip to the vets is for the leishmania. It's another blood test. This is mandatory. That's got to be done within 45 days of export by your local vet. Again, tick and flea and tapeworming. That's got to be done again the same time as the blood test for the leishmania. There's a lot of funny words for this one. Next up is tapeworm, roundworm plus tick and flea treatment again. That's within 5 days, so you've got to literally keep on top of these within like the last month. Obviously, you've got to keep them going and proof for that.
And actually, that's got to be done by an alternative vet. You can't have it done by your normal
Oh yeah,
vet.
yeah. So yeah, it's on here. Our pet travel agent have given us like the dates that things need to be done by, and we've got the tapeworm needs to be done by a different vet. So that's gonna be interesting.
It's funny because I see a lot of people that go off to Australia and they leave their pet to be fostered by someone else, and I'm not sure how we would manage that, because there's so much to do in the last like month, and really keeping on top of things, like sticking to specific dates. I think it would stress me out, like worrying that someone else is gonna...
Well, yeah, especially if they miss the date as well. If you miss the date, then you've pretty much got to start again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just be mindful of that. These are really time critical dates you have to do and a specific order. So yeah, again, as we said, we recommend using a pet travel agent, because it is a big minefield out there. There's a lot of hurdles to jump through. And
it's completely dictated the way that we're going to travel to Australia. So because of all of this, and because of when she can get into Australia and all of this, that's why we're travelling separately. So you're going first, then the dog, then us. Just because, yeah, this is all centred around...
It's all around the dog.
The dog.
So yeah, and then within the 5 days of export, you've got to have a health certificate done by a different vet to your usual vet, just to make sure that obviously it's not a bias report. So yeah, there we go. We'll give you a rundown of the costs from our travel agent. Obviously, there's different ones out there. Like we said, we recommend Lady Hay. We'll stick a link below. We
already paid right in the very beginning an initial amount of money to Lady Hay to like start the process, didn't we?
Yeah.
Can you remember roughly how much that was?
It must have been around about... No, because then we had to make another payment to Australia as well, didn't we?
Yeah, after that we paid an amount directly to the quarantine people. How much was that?
That was like $1,200, I think.
Yeah. And then more recently we've paid a massive bill of about $3 or $4 grand.
Yeah, that's I'll cover that in a minute. That's for... So anyway, more money for you guys to start saving for. So the flight costs from Heathrow to Melbourne at the time that they were booked were just over £2,000, just for our little doggy to sit in a crate.
And Melbourne is where the quarantine facility is. So if you're flying a dog to Australia, it will need to fly to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you in a bit about how your dog will get from Melbourne to somewhere else if you're not actually staying in Melbourne, because we're not.
Yeah. Next up, you got the travel box, which is custom made, so you have to supply your travel agent with dimensions of your dog across the shoulders, from the floor to the knee joint, to the top of the ears, and from the snout to the base of the tail. So they had a custom make a box, and that is £220. An NES HM certificate, which I'm not really sure what that is, but again, there's another charge of £55 for that. Transit permit, £155. Agency fees, obviously for them sorting it all out, £185. Airport and airline handling fees, £145. To actually be picked up from our house and taken to the check-in place at Heathrow, it's £260. And then she had an additional flight, which is to get her from Melbourne, the quarantine place, to where we're going to pick her up from in Brisbane. That was £880 just for a little 2-hour flight. So the total cost for all that is £3,920.
Interestingly, we could have had delivery included in that price of the flight from Melbourne to Brisbane, but we figure that after all of that time we're going to be so excited to see her that we wanted to pick her up directly from the airport. So yeah, we're not going to have her delivered, we're going to meet her and yeah.
Go and pick her up, won't she? She'll be buzzing, we'll be buzzing.
And I've just remembered what that initial money was probably for. It was probably for the import permit. So Lady Hay had to
apply for one, don't you?
Yeah, request the import permit. So yeah, I can't remember exactly how much that was, but that was another additional cost.
So next up, we'll just give you the checklist that you'll need to go through, just so you can get it in your head like what you need. So we have a vaccination card. Obviously that's quite important. That will have all your records from your vet and all the vaccines that were done, the rabies. You'll need the rabies serology report, an RNA-TT declaration, the blood test from the Leishmania signed and stamped, the blood results for the Brucella canis, parasite treatment proof, so either on a letterhead or in a vaccination book, completed DEFRA export paperwork, an Australian declaration which is done by our pet travel agent, the veterinary medication form if applicable, and dietary food. So if your dog's got a specific dietary requirement, so like our dog likes her specific food, you've got a form you need to fill in for that as well, just so you let the Australian authorities know what she likes, so you don't go on hunger strike or whatever.
And just to let you know, because we asked this question, if you're thinking about putting an air tag in your dog's crate, you won't be allowed. So as much as we'd like to track our pets, they're not allowed, and if you put it in there then they'll find it and take it out, or if you attach something to the collar or something, so don't waste your money.
Yeah, a lot of people think they just stick that to the side of the crate or whatever, but yeah, it's because it's got the battery in it. They're quite hot on sticking it in the hold. So we'll give you a little rundown of what's going to happen on the day of collection. So we've been sent this by our pet travel agent. So the afternoon of the pickup, I'll pick her up, bring the travel box with them. So it'll come with 2 water bowls, 2 easy access funnels, and an absorbent pad to line the bottom of the box.
We'll put in the box an old towel or blanket that we'll have rubbed on all of us to make sure it's got all of our scents, to make her feel a bit more comfortable during her time in the box. Apparently that should try and help to calm her down.
Yeah, they'll then attach all the vet stuff to the top of the box. They'll then take her up to she's flying from Heathrow for check-in. Obviously they'll give us updates as she makes her way there. So she's travelling from Heathrow to Melbourne via Doha. So she'll be leaving at almost 10 o'clock at night, and then arrive at 6:40 local time in Doha. And her next flight is 4:45 in the evening, straight into Melbourne.
So yeah, I wonder what they'll be doing in between her flight to look after her. I wonder if they'll let her out of her crate. I wonder if they'll feed her and things, I'm sure, and I hope that they'll do all of them things, but yeah, it's a bit unknown. And
I think they do give them a checkup. I think there is a vet at each, like, the first stop. They'll check them over for like stress and obviously clean them up, because obviously being stuck in a box where she can't normally go in the garden and go and have a wee or a whatever. So yeah, I know they do have a check over, but yeah, so there you go, guys. That is the process of how you export and import your dog to Australia.
It's quite a stressful and long process for both the dog and the owner. Our dog is only just turned 4 years old, so she's very young, very sprightly, but I can see why some people feel like they have to make the decision not to take their dog, because yeah, it's a big thing, and I'm not sure if our dog was so sort of young and energetic whether we would be making a different decision, but yeah, we are lucky enough that we can take her and hope that it's just one journey, and well, two, I guess, if you count Melbourne to Brisbane, but yeah, hopefully she'll be fine and it will all be worth it in the end.
Yep, so there you go. So if you're enjoying these videos,
click the like button, click the subscribe button. It helps us out, and yeah, obviously when we make new videos you'll be notified so that you can watch them.
So there you go. We'll see you in the next one.